Welcome to the Chai Academy. I'm Yaakov Sachs. I'm a rabbi here at the Chai Center, and thank you for joining us today. We've been the Chai Academy. We have so many different topics for you to choose from, and for example, the previous class was on does Judaism believe in heaven and hell? The class before that, what is an afterlife? What does that mean? By the way, there's a great joke about a girl comes home and she goes, "Mom, hi Eileen, Mom, I've been dating this guy. I love everything about him, except he's a little bit of a heretic. He doesn't believe in afterlife." So mother says, "What?" "Yep, he doesn't believe in hell." So she goes, "Honey, between us, we'll teach him." So don't give up my day job, right? So today's class is going to be, it's really a fundamental. I mean, yesterday's class was a fundamental also, heaven and hell. But today's class is, at least heaven and hell is posthumously, but today's class is really an everyday event. And especially those who do pray, you have to, it's the elephant in the room. Why? Why do you pray? I mean, does God not know your plight? Why? And furthermore, we find that it's not, we didn't create prayer. We find that the Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Moses, and on and on and on and on, and Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, they all prayed. Now, so there has to be something there, but it doesn't make sense. What are we trying to do? Coerce God? Say, God, I know you have one will. I'm trying to completely change your mind, and can we talk here? All right? Is that what we're trying to do? And so, like Ukraine, right? Ukraine, I mean, I can't tell you how many prayers I've said and how many prayers I've asked other people to say, and I'm just one, I'm a little peon, cog in a wheel. But the prayers for Ukraine, there's a war in Ukraine, and you don't think God knows this? You don't think God sees the bombings and the killings and the immorality that one man has placed on our globe? That we have to pray, right? And the question, I mean, you can become a heretic with this question is, the Jews did pray at the Holocaust and they weren't answered. So what gives? What gives? What is prayer? Why? Why pray? And does God not know? So I think to tackle this fundamental question, I think we have to analyze prayer. So there's a few different prayers. There's a prayer that's called a bracha, a blessing. I give you a blessing that God should bless you, etc. That's that one type of prayer where somebody's giving it to someone else. Or the individual, I ask for a bracha, I ask for a blessing. Then there's another type of prayer where it's just prayer. God, hear my requests, and please, I need health, and I need this, I need that, and the other. So there are, and Jews, by the way, we say this a lot. Yehi ratzon, may it be your will, dear God. What does that mean? May it be. We say this every day. Yehi ratzon, may it be your will. Right, Sheyabana, Bet Hamikdash, the Holy Temple. It's either His will or it's not His will. What are we, flesh and blood, who need to shower daily, have to do with me telling God, may it be your will? So let's split into two. There's Tefillah, there's prayers for the sick, prayers for Ukraine, prayers for health, prayers for livelihood, prayers for success. And then there's a bracha. I give you a blessing. Or I need a blessing. They're very different, as we'll explain. So the easy one, I think, to tackle would be bracha. Bracha. We find in the Torah a number of times where it talks about bracha. It talks about where Jacob, before his death, he blessed his sons, the 12 tribes. Where Moses, before he passed, he gave the blessings. We know we go to a tzaddik, we go to a great person, we ask for their blessing. A parent blesses their children. Grandparents bless their grandchildren and children, right? And there's blessings abound. And we see it in the Torah. I'll give you a classic example, is that Joseph, who had not seen his father, and Jacob hadn't seen his son for God knows how many years, 22 years. And they finally get to see each other. They finally, meet and they hug, etc. And then Jacob lives, and then Joseph brings in his 2 sons and says, "Bless my children." Now, I'm telling you what happens next to explain why Jacob did what he did, and it's to prove my point. So, Menashe, right? There's an older kid and a younger kid, and he put the older kid to basically facing Jacob. Jacob was sitting. The 2 kids were standing. So he put the older kid on Jacob's. So right hand should touch on his head when he blesses him. Many people, they touch heads when they bless. And the weaker arm, the left hand, on the younger kid. Jacob switched his hands, and he put his right hand on the younger kid and the left hand on the older kid. And Joseph stopped him and goes, "No, Dad, you're doing it wrong." So he goes, "I'm not doing it wrong. This kid needs a blessing." Ephraim is the younger kid, but he needs a blessing. You know why he needs a blessing? It's because his descendant is going to be the Moshe's successor is going to come from the tribe of Ephraim, going to come from this man. And he needs all the blessings he can get. So Joseph scratched his head. He goes, "Okay, so give Menashe, my other son, the blessing that Joshua should come from him." I mean, it's if you see this already, you can flip things around. And Jacob refused. And the reason why Jacob refused, and this is the point of a blessing is not creating something new. Bracha comes from the word brecha, or to be mavrich, to draw down. It exists already. It's there. The energy's there. Ephraim's grandchild was going to be Joshua. Fact. It was going to be Joshua. And he just wanted to draw it down and into this atmosphere and give him a blessing while he's still alive. Right? So a blessing is not to change something. When a righteous person blesses you, gives you a blessing, etc., he's taking the energy that's already there, that perhaps is out of your reach, and bringing it down. So when we ask for a blessing, we're not asking for something that's not in the realm of possibility. We're asking for something that, please, if it's in the possibility, please draw it down for me, so it can be tangible, so I can feel it, so I could live it, I could process it, etc. That's a blessing, right? So blessing's there. And by the way, it says in the Talmud, "Al tiyeh bechas hedget kala beinecha." No person's blessing should be light in your eyes. Everybody has the ability to bless. Every single person can bless anybody. Why? Because they may be able to pull it down where you couldn't. So you need to be blessed with this, you need to be blessed with that. Go get those blessings. And if it exists, perhaps this person can draw it down. That's why we pray at graves. We're not praying to the person. We're not praying to the person who passed. Not at all. What we're doing is we're saying, in honor of these people, can the blessing be drawn down? So that's what a bracha is. It draws down what already exists. Tefillah is greatly debated. Prayer. What is the purpose of prayer? So, tefillah in Yiddish is daven. And they ask, why do you use the word daven? What is daven? Daven's like this odd made-up word. So it's explained that daven comes from da'avuha. We learn that we need to reach out to God from avuha, from our ancestors, from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. But what is it? What is tefillah? So tefillah, we find it used a couple times. It's an odd word. And tefillah, we know that going back to Jacob had 4 wives. Leah and Rachel were sisters. They were the main wives, and Bilhah and Zilpah were the other wives. So Leah and Rachel. So they named their kids. Each time they had a kid, they said, "Oh, Reuven, look, Reuven, I have a son." Wow. So she called him Reuven. Shimon, I've been heard. Shimon. So when it came to Naphtali, right? So she had a kid, Naphtali, and she used the word, I never envisioned that I would have another kid. Now the word tefillah comes from Palalti, Naphtali. It's all the same etymology. The etymology is the same. Joseph and Jacob, back to them, right? When Jacob saw Joseph and he says, wow, it was unimaginable to me. Loi Palalti, I can't even imagine that I would see your face again. I thought you were dead. So tefillah is something that transcends you. It's beyond your imagination. That basically you're reaching out to God to give you something that you can't even conceive. You can't conceive it. It's beyond your conception. And we're gonna get back to that. Tefillah is also, and they're not mutually exclusive, is a way to connect with God. How does a mortal, finite, connect with the infinite? So tefillah, through prayers. Some of these prayers God gave us. Some of these prayers are in the Torah, the Shema. Some of these prayers the rabbi gave us. And truth is, some of these prayers come from our own heart. We can follow a script, but we can also not follow a script. The script is actually rabbinical, not biblical. So we add to our script whatever's ailing us, whatever's bothering us, whatever's something that we need. I don't like to say something we want, because that could be so fickle. Dear God, please, I'm looking for the latest 100-inch, thin screen for my dining room, and it should match the decor. I mean, you don't pray to God for that. That's a want. So connection. How you connect, and they're not mutually exclusive. And let me explain. So we all have, every single one of us has imagination. We all can imagine things. But we can only imagine things that we can imagine. Right? An X-ray only goes so far. You want to go deeper? You need something greater than an X-ray, right? You need a CAT scan. You need an MRI, a PET scan, right? You need an operation, to see firsthand. So, imagination is like that. There's different levels of imagination. There's levels of imagination that are real to you. There are levels of imagination that are in your subconsciousness. There are levels of imagination that are in your subconsciousness. Right? So what tefillah is, essentially, is you asking God, I'm asking you to allow me to see myself on a deeper level than I see myself. I'm asking you, dear God, to give me the ability to see myself the way you see me. Because when I see myself, my goodness, first of all, physically, I don't like my nose, I don't like this, I don't like that, right? I have no neck. I don't, by the way. Right? I see myself. I see myself the way I see myself. Then there's also I see myself, and it's all based on upbringing, right? It depends. I see myself, and it's depending on the damage that my parents have done to me, how my upbringing, how I was dragged up. I can see myself as a lowly individual, and it may not be the truth. It may not be the truth, but I see myself the way I see myself. Oh, many, many different reasons. Could have been bullied in middle school or in high school. Right? Your parents could have not been there, or if they were there, they didn't necessarily boost your ego. And they said something, like you do something. Well, I hope you're happy now, right? That's a terrible thing to say to a kid. I hope you're proud of yourself, right? So that's how a person, but we're not asking that. We're asking when we tefillah, please God, let me see myself the way you see me. And that is incredible because it goes out of your orbit. It goes out of you. It's really what you're doing is saying, God, I'm your emissary. I'm your proxy here on earth. Let me see myself how I should be seen. If something is needed, and if I need to do something, please, I'm asking you to open up the portal and let me see, because I have eyes and cannot see. I have ears that cannot hear. Right? I have a mind, but I lack perception or a certain depth. Right? I can't see anything on the cell level. I don't have the ability. In essence, reveal to me what it is I should be doing. Or reveal to me what the response should be to what someone else is doing and it's not positive. That is what you're praying for. You're not asking God, please God, change your mind. God doesn't need you to change his mind. But rather you're appealing to God that, God, we're here. It's basically mindfulness is really what it is. God, give it to me. I'm standing here and now. Right? I got narrow vision. I want the godly vision. I want to be able to see, to transcend myself and connect with you. That is really what prayer is. Right? And the reason why we have the audacity is because clearly God has called us children. Right? So we're your children. Right? And because we're your children, we're not asking something of you. We are you. Just like a healthy parent would want their child would want to give insight to their child, so too God, we're asking you to give, right? Allow me, God, to let go. And I'm not praying for myself. I'm praying as your proxy. I'm praying as your servant here on earth. I'm asking you to lift my limitations. You know, talk about limitations. I think this is a very powerful story. I was brought up in Brooklyn, in Crown Heights section of Brooklyn, and there was this fellow. There were a lot of them around in the main synagogue in Crown Heights, but also on the streets, on the main drag. There were a lot of beggars. Yiddish term is schnorrers. And you know, there was some that were downright rude, and there's some that weren't rude, and there was some that had charisma. So this fellow, I believe his name was Teddy. Teddy had charisma. There was a Zalman. He was called Zalman the Shikha, Zalman the Drunk. That was his name. Everybody knew him. Nobody knew his last name. He was Zalman the Shikha, Zalman the Drunkard. But there was this guy, Teddy, and Teddy had a lot of charisma. And people used to give him money. Every time I passed him, I used to give him money. I used to give Zalman money because he knew my name. He knew my name. I don't know how he knew my name, but he knew my name. Very personal. Very, very personal. So this guy, Teddy, was a personal guy, and he found favor in a lot of people's eyes, and he probably raised a couple $100 a day. Back then. Anyway, one day, he was in the store, and he was buying a lottery ticket. And I said, "Oh, Teddy, you're buying a lottery ticket, right? You're hoping to win?" So he goes, "Yep. Look, the lottery's for $2 million. So I said, "Wow, what would you do for $2 million? Right? So he said, "The first thing I'm going to do is I am going to hire bodyguards to not let in any other beggar into the main shul." I mean, it's a great story. It's a powerful story. Think about his limitations. You can do with $2 million. Well, I'm going to invest in Google. I'm going to invest in, I'm going to do this, that, the other. I'm going to get out of these clothes. No, I'm going to hire security guards so I can beg without hindrance. Hello, Susan. Welcome. Susan from Greece. I mean, we are as a people limited, right? And we all have those limitations. We may not see it. We may not see that we are our own Teddy, but we are. We are. Every one of us is limited. So what we're praying for is for God to take us out of our own self. Right? Take us out of self-harm. Self-harm doesn't only mean cutting your wrists with a razor blade. Self-harm is the way we beat ourselves up, and we can't see the forest for the trees. And really, that's what we're praying for. It says that God, when he made the temple, he said, "Asali mikdash, make for me a sanctuary, and I would dwell in them." It should be I would dwell in it, but he dwells in every one of us. So when we pray to God, this is a whole nother level of prayer you've probably never heard before. When we pray to God, we're not just praying for ourselves. We're praying for God. Right? God, you are within us. We're praying that you are successful through us. When Hannah was praying for her child, she was childless. And by the way, let's all say a prayer now that Sarah Rachel Bastevara should be blessed with a child. But she was praying, and she told Eli, the high priest, "I'm not praying for me. I'm pouring out the soul. It's not just for me. It's not a personal prayer. It's for God. Because this kid has to be born. And every kid has to be born. And that's what a birthday is. I've told you this before. A birthday is, you don't just celebrate, this is the day I came out of the womb, this is the day I destroyed my mother, right? No, this is the day that God said, we need you. The world needs you. It's the anniversary of that. So she was saying, the world wouldn't need this kid. I'm praying to have a kid to help God. That's what she was praying for. So we're praying for God. God, let it happen for you. So to sum up, we need to connect with God, but we're finite. So we have the letters from God. We we have a vision, but our vision is so limited, and our vision is just so warped, possibly. Or our vision is just so corporeal and gross and material. So we ask God, please help us. What should our response be from our limited, because we only have a limited point of view. And we also pray for God. So God, when we pray for Ukraine, when you say a prayer for Ukraine, what you're doing is that you're reaching out and either drawing down a bracha, which is already there, but just out of touch. I'm out of touch, right? And you pull it down, right? Or what we're doing, or what we're doing is we're asking God to open up our vista, make it godly. How do we respond to Ukraine? How do we respond to the evil that's happening? Right? How's it going to happen? And it's no coincidence when Jacob, it says that Jacob dreamt when he was sleeping before he became the great Jacob. And there was a ladder attached to the heaven, long ladder, and he saw angels going on it. We are that ladder. We are that ladder. We reach out, and that's why we stand when we pray by some of the prayers. It's because we stand, and we stand erect, and we draw down the blessing, and we also draw down the eye-opening inspiration that we get based on our requests. So we don't pray gebeugen. We don't pray, bent. No. You can sit for some of the time, but when we're deep into the ask, we stand, because we are the ladder of prayer. I bless you. I bless me. I give you a bracha. Draw down that God should give us every blessing that's up there waiting for us to reach out and grab it. It should become within reach and grab it. I bless you that God should open up your eyes, my eyes, our eyes, Putin's eyes, Biden's eyes, people in power, and give them insight the way God would want them to handle it. Not their own limited, feeble, and feckless response from the world. That's not godly. But God, how? It's a tricky one. How? God, we ask you to open our eyes. May God always give us the wisdom to be able to deign what should be done. And may God give us the eyesight to be able to see with clarity, ears to hear and dare perceive what our next move should be. May we be blessed with health, happiness, children, nachas, joy, prosperity, a good life, quality life, and serenity. God bless.